I grew up in a family home, two separate houses, the front house and the back house. The front house had a basement, 2 floors, and an attic. We have a Ouija board in the back house, and my family used to play it in the front house in the attic as well. So we think the Ouija board is the cause of the weird things that went on. Now, with the story, so hopefully everyone has seen The Conjuring, but there's a game in there that the family plays called Hide and Clap. Well, one day, me and my brother Stephen and my cousin Destiny were bored, and it was around 1-2 a.m. So we decided to play Hide and Clap, but in the dark, and OFC with the blindfold as well. We played this game because we were sure no one was home to tell us to sleep. My room was located in the front house basement, so we kept the rules to only play in the basement. And the basement was full of clutter, so it made it easy to feel or hear if someone was trying to walk next to you or trick you. The first few games were fun, and we enjoyed it, scared each other. But then it became my turn to find my brother and cousin. I put my blindfold on, all lights were off, and I leave the counting area. So I'm completely blind, and I'm reaching my arms out to feel around me. I call out for Destiny, and I hear a clap to the left corner of the room. So I go through the clutter, feeling my surroundings, and nothing. But I swore I heard a clap come from over there, and I didn't feel anyone trying to go around me to pass me either. So I call out for Stephen and Destiny, and I hear both claps come from the same direction, which was to my right, down the narrow hallway. I still don't feel anyone try to pass me, so I found them behind the back door, and I asked if they were trying to mess with me. They both said no, and that they were there the whole time. I told them I heard a clap to the left of the basement, but they both said no, and they didn't want to hide there because of how much old stuff was cluttered around there. We searched upstairs to see if anyone else was messing with us, but no one was home. We then stopped playing because we got spooked and too scared to leave my room. We all fell asleep on my twin bed, all 3 of us. This happened 8 years ago, almost to the day. I was living in one city and working in another city about 20 minutes away. Since then, the areas between have been hugely developed. But at the time, everything between these cities was just undeveloped back roads with nothing around. No buildings, no sidewalks, no lights, just rough old roads until you get into the other city. To get to work on time, I had to leave my house at 3:30 a.m. One morning, I jolted awake at 3:20, full of adrenaline, as I realized I only had 10 minutes to get myself ready and set my dog up to be alone while I was at work. Needless to say, the circumstance had me highly alert, rushing and focused. Also, I was driving a lot faster. I drive down this road every day as I went to work. I usually take that time to wake up, but this time I was wide awake. All I could think about was what would happen if I ended up being late. I was really anxious. Suddenly, my headlights shone upon something in the distance ahead of me. What I saw was a naked, skinless man crossing the road on foot. When I say skinless, imagine those diagrams in your life science classes. Everything beneath the skin revealed and intact, except in this case, with a shiny, wet appearance, bright pinks and reds all over. Like a living, skinless person. No clothes, no shoes, and, notably, appearing oddly content. He seemed strangely at ease, considering he was crossing the road into nothingness in front of a speeding car in the dark at 3:45 a.m. There was no walking space suitable for humans out there for miles. The area he was walking into was pitch black. Nothing there but weeds and rocks. The direction he was coming from, the same. No light, nowhere to roam, nothing. Was I tripping or what? I was sober and super awake. This takes place back in 2019. I was going through some issues with my family, and I was couch hopping but basically living out of my car. I had a cousin that I hadn't spoken to in a while message me one day and tell me that she had heard I was homeless and asked if I needed a place to stay. This cousin and I used to get along super well. So long story short, I moved into her house with her and her mum and shared a room with her. Her house was the leftmost in a fourplex, so her bedroom windows look out to the neighbors, but the other wall of the house was shared with another person's house. It wasn't weird or rundown, but the previous renter, for some reason, had sealed the front and both bedrooms' windows shut with nails, and then either painted or used some material that couldn't be removed and blocked the windows, so you couldn't see out or into the house, only the sun would come through. While there, I experienced a lot of weird things, but this one was the one that stuck out the most. A couple weeks leading up to the event in question, I had been having really weird nightmares that I could never remember, but always woke up out of breath and clutching my chest, trying to slow down my heartbeat. My cousin was in her bathroom one day, and I noticed that there's something almost engraved into the wood of the door, like someone's name, and it had been painted over. So we're analyzing this carving and come to the conclusion that it's a girl's name, and just assumed it was a kid or something who carved their name. After this discovery, things for me progressively start to get worse. I start to feel extremely tired. Every time I'm home, I start waking up with an alarming amount of bruises and scratches that I can't explain. My best friend comes over one day, and we're in the room, so I tell her about the name we found on the door, just 'cause her and I are into creepy things, and she practices Santeria. So we always talk about things that relate to her religion and spiritual things. She starts kind of joking about it, but as she's joking around, she uses the girl's name, but pronounces it incorrectly every time she repeats it, and I can feel myself get progressively angrier for whatever reason. The more she's doing it, to the point where I interrupt her after the nth time and rudely correct her. We both just look at each other, and as the anger disappears with my words, I tell her I have no idea why I started feeling so upset about the girl's name being said incorrectly. We let it go, just assuming it was a random event. Some time passes. I'm still waking up with more and more bruises and scratches, and at this point, it very much looks like I'm being heavily abused. One night, my cousin and her mom go out and leave me at home alone. I was in her bedroom watching TV with the door open, and there's a clear view of the living room and hallway from where I'm sitting. But all the lights are off, so it's just complete darkness, except for the TV. I get a FaceTime call from another friend who is in her car with her sister. We're just having normal conversation when I get the urge to tell her about the name on the door. As soon as I'm done telling them about what has been going on, I start to get extremely lightheaded, like I was about to pass out, and my vision blurs, and then I hear this extremely clear, almost church-sounding bell, like it's right next to my head. Then absolutely nothing like my ears had been stuffed with cotton. As I'm trying to clear my vision, I look up at the doorway and see the figure of a girl, maybe about 5'6" or something, waist-length black hair. And that's all I can make out. I blink again, and she's gone. The blurred vision and lightheadedness lasts for another maybe 1 to 2 minutes, and when I'm finally back to normal, I pick up my phone, and my friend and her sister have broken out into a sob as they're asking me if I'm okay. I told them I was fine. I just got disoriented, and they tell me that after I dropped my phone, they could hear a woman screaming bloody murder, and they thought someone had come into the house and was hurting me. I was clearly confused because I wasn't screaming, and I definitely didn't hear any screaming. I close the bedroom door after we get off the phone, and after they're done making sure I'm okay, and I stay awake the rest of the night, just waiting for my cousin to get home. After that night, New bruises stopped showing up, and shortly after that I moved out and stopped speaking with said cousin due to different issues. Till this day I can remember the sound of that bell. It was so unsettling. I'll never forget that night.